Market Avenue. My name is Edward Nyako. One of the commodities that is in high demand during Christmas and even New Year is chicken. Ghana currently imports about 400,000 metric tons of chicken, and this translates into about $300 million. But as a country, we produce 58,000 metric tons, which implies that 5 million chicken are consumed every week. That's 5 million metric tons actually are consumed every week. But we were hit as a country with bird flu. So we want to find out from the poultry farmers, after the bird flu has hit us, do we have enough in stock locally to be able to meet the demand? Because a lot of Ghanaians are now pushing towards locally produced poultry products because to them that is fresh. So we will look at the poultry product production and the supply chain that had been, the supply chain disruption that had been affected because of the bird flu crisis. But we'll see how things are panning out so far. I'm going to do that with Mr. Michael Ampim, who is a poultry farmer, and find out more as the market closes out today. But the best thing to do today to wrap up the week is to take a look at the business language, which is central digital currency. Let's take a look at that. Come back, we go to the stock market to look at performance of the equities during this week. Particularly today, I have a look at the market. Today, the composite index was up 11.74% points, and the financial stock recorded 0 points and is now at 16.32%. But the real composite index is 44.73%. That is, if you invested in our stock market from beginning of the year to now, your returns will stand at 44.73%. But if you look at the volume of shares that were traded today, it is 3.2 million shares and was valued at 4.7 million Ghana cedis. So the composite index that stood at 2.798.27 points yesterday has jumped to 2.810.01 points, and the market cap, which was at 63.7 billion Ghana cedis, has shot up to 63.8 billion Ghana cedis, and the equity that drove this performance for the day was MTN. MTN recorded a price change of 0.1 peso. So if you look at trading in terms of volume from the beginning of the week, it started at 128,588 and it jumped to 8.2 million shares, and it dipped to 162,000 and jumped again to 542,000, and then it ended the week, that's today, at 3.2 million shares valued at 4.7 million Ghana cedis. So this is how far the equity market had fared from Monday to today, even though throughout the week we've seen a ding-dong battle where the commodities, the equities shed off a lot of values, especially MTN. So we're going for a short break. When we come back, we're going to look at the poultry industry. After the bird flu crisis, do we have enough to be able to meet the demand during this Christmas? Hello, welcome back to Market Avenue. With me to the discussion is Mr. Michael Nyankwapim. Name or welcome.
Thank you very much.
Great to have you once again in the studio.
Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Now, we were hit with bird flu, and to some, Christmas is nothing less than chicken consumption. What is the update or latest info about the bird flu crisis?
Thank you very much. Bird flu, for now, I guess you don't hear much about bird flu now. It's a seasonal thing that comes, and when it comes, if you don't have good biosecurity measures, then it affects your farm and all of that. But for now, the incidence has gone down. It's almost eliminated. It's not gone, but it's almost eliminated. So we are back to our business, and we are working full gear.
Right. So Christmas is just around the corner. We are told we import about 180,000 metric tons annually, which is about 5 million tons a week. Do we as a country have that capacity to be able to produce enough chicken to meet the demand for Christmas?
Yes. Thank you very much. You see, if you take our SDGs, you find that the second one says that no hunger. The third one says good health and well-being. So if you take no hunger, it means that we must fill whatever gap that is there locally. And if dignity, the indignity of poverty, that's the first one. The indignity of poverty. We want to create good work and good environment for our farmers and for our workers, and good food for our people. So if we want to produce for Christmas, we are ready, we are able to fill the gap. Like I always say, what is lacking is a level playing field. If we have the level playing field, another time I was talking about the values that were done and the poultry farm, poultry was not affected. If poultry had been given that, the taxes on them had been raised and the field had been leveled, then we know, and I would appreciate the fact that we are shoulder to shoulder and we are working, because that's the only thing that's lacking. The price differentials are ephemeral. They are not something that is cast in stone. We can deal with it because the other side has some form of support, subsidy. Then we don't have it. Of course, we used to have it through the Plan for Food and Jobs through maize and soya. But again, that has been almost defeated by the high prices of maize and soya. So we are back to square one, and we are dealing with high prices. So that is what is stopping us from being able to fill the gap. But I dare say that we are able and ready. Farmers are self-sustaining. Farmers are equipped to do what has to be done. The only thing is the off-taking of the birds. And the off-taking is affected by the price. That's all.
Off-taking is affected by the price. We looking at maize soya as the main component in terms of the cost of production feed. Yeah. Now, is there not any other means to be able to address this problem? Because this week I had the privilege to talk to a lead author of a World Bank report that were talking about the fact that they are now using palm larvae, that is akokono, as I say in a local language, to produce feed for chicken. And it's been done in Ghana, but not on a big scale, on a bigger scale. Can't we use this one as an alternative to address this high cost of production?
Yes, we can. We can, and indeed, it's been done. The shortfall or the issue is the quantum that's needed for this. There needs to be a concentrated effort, a conscious effort to bring people together to get this thing done, because it's going to take some amount of effort, some amount of money to put it together, because you need land, you need a space, and it doesn't take too much technology to do. But what will happen is the space that you need, and then the people that will work on it, all the things that you need to put together to pay them, sustain them, and sustain the business, because the larvae will have to grow over a period. While it's growing over that period, how do you sustain yourself in business? So there has to be that one. And then the second thing is that the feed millers must also be conscientized to accept some of this, because sometimes when you get used to using fish or soya or those things, shifting sometimes is risky, because for, let's say, the layers, a layer, if you are not careful and you change the feed, and the feed change is drastic, they can punish you in terms of the laying of eggs.
Wow.
So people are quite sensitive, and so this thing has to be tested over a period of time. I'm sure University of Ghana is doing it, University of Science and Technology is doing it, Kivas is also doing it, some research on that. But all these researches have to be brought together, and then investment is made into that. I would recommend that, as part of the 1D1F that government is pursuing, government can take up this project, bring together the researchers at the various universities, let them bring their researchers, let them the businessmen or the entrepreneurs come together, put it in there. Now, when they do it, and the cost is good, the quality is good, because you need a minimum of 50% protein content. Once and the palm level has more than 50%.
Wow.
So if you do that, it means that the quantity that you have to add per ton is going to be less. So the cost per feed is going to come down. So once we do this mathematics, once we have these researchers coming together and then doing these things, then the cost invariably will come down, and we'll begin to do this. But the switch is where the problem is, because people are a bit sensitive to change.
Great. Now you're talking about cost of production. Maize, at the moment, how much is a bag of, let's say, I don't know, is it 25 kilo or you do 50 kg? How much is it compared to last year? How does that translate into the pricing of the birds?
Maize has the prices have been stubborn, extremely stubborn.
Wow.
Because when and you can't blame the farmers. They are having a windfall. The maize farmers, they are having a windfall, and anybody smart enough will want to cash in and make some good money. So you can't blame them, except that the back end, which is the poultry farmers or the end users, we are having to bite our fingers and bite our nails because of the high price, which used to be last year we're dealing with the range of 65 to 80 cedis, and now we are dealing with the range between 140 and 150.
Wow.
And it's been like that virtually the whole year, and so that's what I'm saying. The prices have been quite stubborn.
More than double.
More than double. So the prices have been quite stubborn, and they are refusing to come down. I believe that an equilibrium will be achieved where we have a massive production of maize like we had in 2017, 2018, where we had a huge maize stocks. And again, when Ghana has become sort of a food basket for West Africa. So when our neighbors also have their food or their crops doing well, then they won't have to come chasing
what we have.
So that what we produce will be enough to sustain us, and we'll have some to store, and the price will come back to the normal. But for now, until we see West Africa doing well, because I mean, naturally, if Burkina Faso has a problem in terms of food, they'll troop down. Niger, Mali, Nigeria, and recently Nigeria had actually banned any export of maize to outside Nigeria because of similar problems that they are having. So it's not a Ghana-centered problem. It's a West Africa-wide problem. And once these aggregates begin to come together, the price will come down. But for now, they are stubbornly high, and it's affecting the cost of production. So, and I'm sure you want to know.
Yes, I want to know exactly. So last year, a bird, how much was it sold?
Last year,
averagely.
Yes, averagely, broiler was going for about 50 cedis for a live bird or a dressed bird. But this year, it's going to dance between 60 cedis and 70 cedis, depending on how the market works out, but it's not going to be less than 60 cedis. That's one. I can say it without any fear of doubt. In the sense that the cost of production has gone up, and farmers would have to kind of share the burden. They're not going to pass on everything onto the consumers. They are going to share the burden with the consumers, because without the consumers, we do not have a business. So you wouldn't want to kill the bird that lays the golden eggs. So you want to kind of keep them coming. So farmers will take, because generally, I mean, some of these things, it works out so beautifully. If you take it out there and the price is so high,
you drive them away.
The consumer also has a budget. So if the consumer cannot buy it, then invariably you are telling the consumer that go and buy the imported one. And we are fighting that we want to reduce the imported chicken by filling the gap. So we are conscious of that fact, and we are going to balance the equation and ensure that we enjoy good chicken at relatively good prices, and we'll all be happy. So that next year, 2022, if we continue to push it like that, and West Africa-wide the crop situation improves, then the cost of production will come down, and then we'll go back to where we were in the previous year.
So you talk about the price of broiler. The layers, how was it like last year and possibly this year?
Layer last year and then some part of this year, it was a problem because, you know, ending last year was when we really had a crisis in terms of feed availability. So some people sold their birds. Some have come in to kind of resuscitate their businesses. But the cycle of a layer is between 18 months and 24 months.
Okay.
So if somebody picked layers this year, the likelihood of the person selling the layer is less. So you are not going to have so many layers on the market. So, and that demand and supply may affect the price. It's still going to be from the farm gate. It's going to be something around 30 cedis, 35 cedis. But on the market, where we have the middlemen coming for the birds to sell, that I cannot control or determine how much they will sell it. But if the farm gate price, that is what I can tell you. It's going to be between 30 and 35, and then we take that from there. Because what happens is that sometimes the farm gate price is a bit low because when the middleman comes to take the birds off, you are no longer feeding the birds. So your cost of feeding the birds
is passed on
to the one who
and then transported.
So you do that mathematics, and then kind of reduce the price for the person to take it. But again, he is also going to hold the birds and feed them. So for that period that he's holding the birds and feeding them, you also have to put his margin on it and then sell it. Sometimes it's over the board, but I'm sure, like I said again, when these things are there, there'll be an equilibrium.
Now, if I know, the demand for broiler and layer in Ghana, how is it like? Is it one? Which one of them the demand is high, and why?
Okay. So layer is mostly demanded during occasions.
Okay.
Because the Ghanaian wants to drink soup.
Okay.
So people say that the broiler is not as tough as the layer. So they use the layer to prepare the soup. And during Christmas, you know, fufu and all kinds of,
mutu,
you know,
yeah.
And so abenkwai will flow, and katekwai will flow, and all the nkatebe and all of that will flow. So it's demanded during Christmas.
Okay.
But all year round, for the rice and then the fries and all of that, it is the broiler that goes. So broiler has almost
a year-round demand, okay.
But the layer doesn't have that kind of demand, not because layer does not have a demand, but because the availability of layers.
Okay.
Because if it's an 18-month cycle or a 24-month cycle, it cannot be there every time. Unlike broiler, that you need about between 6 and 8 weeks to get it ready for market. a layer will take 24 months to come to the market. So it's not as readily available as the broiler. So people cut in by doing what we call cockerels. So cockerels take about 5-6 months to get ready for the market, and it's as tough, if not tougher, than the layer. So that's what.
In terms of taste, how's it like? The difference between the broiler and the layer?
It's the taste is almost the same. Okay. What happens is the toughness.
Okay.
If you are the type who wants to hold on to your meat and fight with your meat, the meat is in your mouth and you're pulling it.
Especially during this Christmas, you know?
Exactly. So then you go for layer. But if you're like me, who doesn't like anything that tough, then you go for broiler. So the taste is almost the same, but it's usually preference. And I tell people that you can still use broiler for soups. If you look at the time that we spend a soup on fire, that's why you need the layer, so that or the time you spend on fire would kind of soften the meat. And the broiler is already soft. So why don't you use the broiler? Wait for when the soup is almost done. Then you put it in and you are gone. But of course, I'm not going to change I'm not here to change people's preferences and tastes. So people are at liberty to go for it. But basically, those are the differences. It's not the taste; it's just the toughness of the meat.
The toughness of the meat. One thing that I've realized elsewhere is that they are talking about free range. Do we have that kind of system here that is helping? Also, what if the pricing, because over there, I know I'm talking about UK, it commands a premium price. Are we doing that same here?
Yes, we are, but it's not on a very
big
large scale because of the price, like the premium pricing that you mentioned. It's the same thing because it takes a longer time for the bird to be ready. When you are doing organic, there are certain ingredients that you cannot add to the feed. And the birds are also allowed to roam and look for their own herbs, leaves, and like the palm liver that you were talking about. They pick all those things, and it takes quite some time for them to grow. So they have to put that premium on it, and then they also strictly do not use medications unless very, very necessary. They do not use medications. So they will do it here, but the cost of doing it
it's very expensive.
And then the space, because you need
big land,
unlike the housed one where you can keep them in a house. This one is housed, but they come to sleep like the local ones only when it's night. So you need a wider space for them to roam and go look for food and that kind of. So it's a bit stressful, but some people are doing it. I know that some people, and now there are some that are even doing what they call broiler. And designer broiler. So people are doing it. You see the feathers are different at the neck and the legs. The feathers are different. That's a designer broiler. and they do it for you. So, but those things are on demand, and where people can afford it, they do it, and they do it for them.
Wow. So we have enough for this Christmas.
Yes.
We are good to go.
Yes, we are.
Thank you very much. That is Mr. Michael Nyako Ampim, a poultry farmer, assuring us that, look, don't look elsewhere. We have locally produced poultry products, and they are very sumptuous and delicious. So go out there this Christmas and enjoy Christmas. My name is Edward Nyako. God willing, we'll come here next week, Monday. Shalom.